End Night just released their first major update for Sons of the Forest. It includes a whole host of new features, improvements, and bug fixes. Some of the main features are a mini boss battle, new binoculars, hang gliders, defensive wall gates, and loads more awesome stuff. This update is absolutely jam-packed with awesome new content and fixes. There are over 70 fixes and loads of little improvements as well. But some of the main things are the new features that have been added, and those look pretty damn cool. There's some new world pickups, some new little bits that have been added to the storyline, and also a new mini-boss battle. And we have a massive list here of new features as well, so that's very exciting. Alongside the new features, there's been loads of additions to balancing and improvements to some basic things, as well as some of the major issues in the game. And then fixes, as I say, there are over 70 fixes included. We'll go through a few of the major fixes, but if you do want to look at the list itself, the Steam link is in the description down below, where you can find all of the patch notes and the previous patch notes for all the hotfixes that have been released so far. So, for the new features, we have binoculars, a hang glider, defensive wall gate. Now, the defensive wall, so far the gate has not been included, but now they've fixed that, and we actually are able to make ourselves a wall, just like in the original one, so you could just place your logs up against the walls horizontal instead of vertically, and that will be what creates your door. Also, they've added the mini boss fight into the food bunker. So that food bunker that we go into by the lake, pretty much in the middle of the bottom section of the map, there'll be a new mini boss fight in there. There's also settings, reset options in the main screen, and they've added a missing Virginia leather suit pickup to the world. We can also, which is very, very cool, lock doors with a stick placed on the interior of the door. So, unfortunately, we can't speedrun and break through doors with a stick anymore, which, it's a shame. Obviously, that 10-minute speedrun with a stick has now gone, so people are going to have to speedrun the game properly, which, it's a shame, because speedrunning with a stick, I've been watching a few people do it, and it is quite funny. But unfortunately, now we cannot do that. So now you actually have to go through and get all your cards and all that kind of stuff to actually get to the main game. By the way, it's a little shameless plug here. If you do need to find any of the cards or any of the in-game items, we've got a playlist on the channel full of all of that kind of stuff. Also, we can now build small structures like furniture, but we can actually move it around rather than destroying things. So when it comes to like your shelves and stuff like that, you can actually pick them up and place them somewhere else in your bag. Or you can collapse it and get back the resources, which is brilliant, because there's nothing more annoying than trying to build something and then realising, oh shit, that's not where I wanted it, or we found somewhere better for it. So now you can actually move things like that around your home base, which is good. Now, something that I'm very excited for is additional story elements. Now, the story so far, I'm going to be honest, I am quite disappointed. I was hoping for a lot more than that. There's not really much explanation. We find out more about Hank and his golf balls than we do about the actual storyline. So I'm glad that they've added a few more story elements in there. Whether they're going to be substantial enough or not is yet to be seen. But as we've said before, they are in early access, so things like this are definitely subject to change. There's also a new headshot death animation variations added for the cannibals, so it won't just be the same bolt upright look and then fall to the floor, which is quite good. Now, cannibals will also attack you by jumping out of trees, so that's interesting. That's definitely going to be a little bit more jumpy than beforehand. And something that I think is actually quite cute is the little birds that you see flying around and just landing, they will now land and eat, which is cool. They've also fixed and got a workable fish trap, which will now catch fish every 5 to 10 minutes as long as it is placed in the water and the current season is not winter. Also, some cannibal villages have had a little bit of a revamp, with lookout towers being added to a select few. There's also now the ability when you pick up any story items, you will now be able to zoom into them and actually read them properly, whereas beforehand trying to read books or anything like that was a bit of a ball ache. Also, they've added a new structure type, which is a one-sided apex, which will fill the space between a leaning beam and supporting beams. It will also align automatically based on the leaning beam orientation, and it will fit quarter log variations to the right length automatically. So for the new features, that is it. But we're going to go over the balancing now. And there's been a hell of a lot of balances been done. Some good, some a little bit nah. But they've added a sleep cooldown, which is a shame, because now you can't spam sleep just to get through certain days or certain points in the game. But they've also set rest drain from hunger and dehydration over to 0. And now the muddy cannibals will also get less angry from player proximity and in the late game. They've also added a possibility of player sleep interruption events from nearby enemies that can reach the player. And they've tweaked the fire drain rate to make using firewood more important. Tweaked berries to give slightly more fullness, which is good, because berries are they're everywhere, and you just end up being completely redundant at the moment, so it's good that you'll actually be able to use them and get something out of them. They've also tweaked the energy drink to give you a little bit less hydration, and tweaked the amount of fullness and hydration all herbs and mushrooms give. There's also been a few changes to the difficulty settings. So hard enemy health setting is reduced to 1.25 health, and increase the cannibal armor on the hard setting by 1.5. And an unfortunate balance that, well, now we can't have Kelvin catch fish continually. Now he will end that after a certain amount of time, which is a shame. But, it is what it is. They've also fixed opening a cave in late game having too many enemies, and adjusted player melee event ranges for better AI responsiveness. Which is good, because currently I feel like any type of melee in the game is a little bit sort of meh. So now that they've got a bit more responsiveness, that'll be better. Sometimes you don't know if you're hitting them. Do you know what I mean? Just by, like, when you are trying to beat down on the enemies, you don't really know if it's working properly. But now that they've tweaked that, that's going to be much better. They've also, unfortunately, halved shotgun damage, which is a shame. Because the shotgun damage is so fucking OP. And it was great against bigger cannibals, and going into caves with a shotgun, he just... Oof. Oh yes. They've also boosted the seat rest amount from 0.3 to 0.7. So when you do sit on a seat, it's actually a little known fact. I didn't realise that not many people know this, but when you sit down, you can actually relax for a little bit, and that will boost your rest amount. But that's not, you don't have to just sleep, you can just sit down in a chair. So now they've boosted that a little bit, so it does help a little bit more. They've also added regular puffies to the dining hall, and increased health on creepies depending on amount of multiplayer players active, which that's pretty good, especially when it comes to multiplayer, because playing solo and going into the caves can be really, really easy as it is. So now having that multiplayer aspect being made a little bit more difficult is definitely going to make things a little bit more... it's going to take you a little bit longer to get through these caves now, rather than just being able to speed run through them and one-shot all of the mutants in the head. There's also loads of little improvements as well, which I won't go over those. A few of the key ones are that improving the cannibal animations, fix some sleeping animations, stuff like that. So if you do want to have a look at those, once again, they are in the description down below if you head straight over to the Steam link that's down there. But for the fixes, two of the most important ones that I've found are the no stick speedrunning anymore, so you can't get through any locked doors with sticks. I'm sure someone's going to come up with an idea of getting through the locked doors with a rock, you know, something along those lines. And also, now the AI will follow you around a little bit better. I've noticed this massively, and they follow you so much easier now than what they did beforehand. And also, Kelvin is a bit of a naughty boy. When you've built yourself a treehouse, he tends to chop it down. If you've got that fix, if you want to get him out there chopping stuff, then he will chop your treehouse down. There is no ifs or buts. It happens, and it's very annoying. I've had it happen. But now he doesn't do that. If there are trees with structures attached, Kelvin will not chop them down. So two of the most important fixes are right there. For now, though, we are going to wrap that up there. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed. Please give me some feedback on this style of video. This is normally how I do the update videos for other games that I've played, Generation Zero, Survive the Nights, that kind of stuff. But there's a lot of new subscribers here for Sons of the Forest, so if there's a way that you'd like to see these delivered differently, then please let me know in the comments as well. I'd greatly appreciate it. For now, though, subscribe to the channel, drop a like in the video. If you do want to support us a little bit further, consider becoming a member. I would greatly appreciate it. A big shout out to all of the members so far. I really appreciate you all. But for now, I've been Wired. You've been awesome. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.